Hi everyone, my name is Hugo. I'd like to start with a quick show of hands. Who here is in the medium-duty, heavy-duty transportation sector? Maritime industry? Anyone? Aviation? Yeah, all right. Everyone online, I can see you also. Thank you for raising your hands. Today, I asked a question because today I'm going to present to you, talk a little bit about what we're trying to do at Airbus to build a hydrogen-powered aircraft. That's going to be our next generation hydrogen-powered aircraft. I think it's, as I will present some of the technology advancements that we're working on to make this aircraft a reality, I think it's important for those of you who raise their hands to maybe draw some parallels with what you're trying to build yourself. So Airbus is a big company. We have a strong presence here in the US, close to 4,000 employees, another 4,000 workforce strong in Canada, and we make aircraft, we make helicopters, we make satellites as well, and launchers. I'll go very quickly, but we're here in DC. Across the street is actually our experience center. I highly encourage you to come say hi. There is a kind of a cool museum. And across the country, really, we have research and technology centers. We have a final assembly line done in Mobile, Alabama, and a few other places where we're pushing the envelope of many core aviation and aerospace technologies. We're also a manufacturer of helicopters. You may have seen a couple of them in one of the Mission Impossible movies. And we do that done at our Grand Prairie, Texas facility. But today, as I said, I really want to focus on our path towards net zero and what it means for an aircraft OEM like Airbus to reach net zero. Well, we really think that there are some things that, some technologies that are available today, readily available on the market, and those are called sustainable aviation fuels. We can use those new fuels, alternative fuels, to reduce the carbon intensity of what we're trying to do. Unfortunately, we don't think that's enough. If we want to be serious about reaching net zero by 2050, we really need to rethink the way we burn fuel in the aircraft and the way we operate at the airport. And this is why we're here today, because we think after careful feasibility studies, we think that hydrogen holds a promise for the aviation industry to reach net zero truly. So by 2035, we have the intent to put in service the first hydrogen-powered commercial aircraft. 3 years ago, really 3 years ago, we unveiled the three different concepts: a turboprop aircraft, a turbofan, and a blended wing body. And those are the three main aircraft configurations that we're developing at the moment. 1,000 nautical mile, 2,000 nautical mile, 100 passenger to 200 passenger is what we're talking about here, which encompasses close to 60% of the commercial aircraft demand. In terms of technologies, I cannot double click on each of those during this presentation today, but again, I think it's interesting to draw some parallels with what other hard-to-abate sectors are developing at the moment, as they're themselves trying to reach their net zero objectives. Because at the end of the day, we're talking about the same type of underlying technologies. We all want to store the hydrogen in a safe way. We want to dispense it in a safe way, and we want to transport it in between the production facility and the end user, right? So here you can see the traditional aircraft tube and wing configuration that everyone is familiar with. The configuration that represented here is comprised of hydrogen tanks in the rear section of the aircraft, where we're going to store liquid hydrogen. You can see that we're going to use a hybrid configuration. By hybrid, I mean that there is an intent to directly use a molecule of hydrogen and burn them into modified gas turbine engine in combination with fuel cells that would power the electrical system as well. So I'll come back on that. But the different propulsion systems currently under study are the direct burn hydrogen configuration, the fuel cell, and this hybrid architecture. We are in this technology maturation phase at the moment, a couple of years away from key flying demonstrators. I'll go back to that. And we should be ready to make some key technology selections in the years to come. I will stress that the 2035 entry into service timeline is radically aggressive for an industry like the certification-heavy industry that is aviation. This is a hydrogen combustion demonstrator on the A380 platform that should be ready to fly in the next couple of years. This is going to test a additional hydrogen combustion engine that will be located on the rear fuselage with 4 liquid hydrogen tanks. At the same time, we're working on a fuel cell demonstrator, also on an A380 platform. And here we're talking about fuel cells at the megawatt scale. So fuel cells that will be in series, in parallel, so that we can achieve the megawatt class. And just a few months ago, we actually unveiled really what was a world first. We unveiled a fuel cell capable of powering a powertrain at 1.2 megawatt. A couple of interesting projects and technology exploration that we're working on at the moment. If you can think that we'll have liquid hydrogen on board, you can start thinking about different ways we can use that liquid hydrogen, not only to power the engines, right? Well, we think one of those options could be to tinker around with what we can do with the APU, the auxiliary power unit. So this is one concept. Another one, very interesting, that is kind of agnostic to the propulsion system, but could work very well with liquid hydrogen tanks on board, is this what we call the Ascend demonstrator. So this specifically tests superconducting materials and cryogenic materials in order to really, at the end of the day, reduce the weight of those materials in the aircraft and reduce electrical losses as well. I don't have a lot of time to double click on those again. But as you can imagine, as we're talking about changing the energy carrier of the aircraft, well, we're talking about moving away from jet fuel, from kerosene, right? What is that going to look like at the airport is a key question. So this is the reason why we've been partnering all across the world with different airports, local energy providers, and some of our customers, the airlines, to better understand what are the different adoption scenarios as we try to bring hydrogen to airports. Do we bring hydrogen in its liquid form right away? Do we get it shipped through trucks in a gaseous form? What does it mean for an airport authority to potentially invest in the resources to have a liquefaction plant within its premises? Those are questions that we're exploring at the moment with a lot of our partners. We should be a few weeks away here in the US to make some announcements with key airports as well. A concept that we introduced also not long ago was this airport has a hydrogen hub concept. And I do believe we coined the term hub a little bit before the DOE did, but don't quote me on that. But the idea is simple. It's really to ask ourselves, okay, if we're going to bring hydrogen to the airport or near the airport premises, let's do it in a smart way. Let's do it in a way that can benefit maybe the maritime industry if there is a port located nearby, or the medium-duty, heavy-duty transportation sector as well. And so you can start you can start asking those questions, but it's important to acknowledge the fact that as of today in the US, liquid hydrogen, or any type of hydrogen really, is still in at its infancy in terms of adoption in those hard-to-abate sectors, which means that there are some, I would say, scattered working groups in place when it comes to coming up with the proper sets of codes, standards, safety-related measures to bring this hydrogen to key infrastructure premises, right? I do think the aviation industry is well positioned to be a federator of those different efforts at the moment. We have an interesting, let's say, well, it's called an alliance going on in Europe. That's called the Alliance for Zero Emission Aviation. At its heart, it's really poised to be a platform that can give a voice to other industries as well, so that we have this healthy debate on what it means for those different sectors to come together as one and implement or advise for the implementation of the proper set of codes and standards. So if some of you are in that space, in the regulatory space, come find me at the end. We would love to chat. I didn't spend a lot of time on the technologies because, to be frank, a lot of this has been done in the past. NASA flew a hydrogen aircraft in the 50s. The Russians flew one in the 80s. We're trying to connect the dots in a smart way. Is it hard? Yes, it's hard. We do think we'll be ready for an entry in service in 2035 as the technology matters. But really the bottleneck is regulations. And this is why I want to end with those two last slides. This is really the Airbus vision of what it means to become net zero. Those are the different energy pathways that summarize the different options. I'm talking about the energy carrier here. Of course, you can imagine that we're investing more than 2 billion euros every year in R&D to improve the overall, core functions of the aircraft without rethinking what moving away from jet fuel will look like. So we're investing in better maintenance and operations, for example, more intelligent air traffic rules. Those are small steps that can help us save CO2 at the end of the day. But today, basically, we're here. As I said, the only option available to the industry to reduce the carbon density of aviation is what we call SAFs, Sustainable Aviation Fuel, or biomass-based fuel. We need a lot of them. And supply is already an issue. And we already know that supply is going to be an issue for the next 10, 20, 30 years. So we're looking at the ultimate pathway, as I said, is really taking the molecule of hydrogen itself and burning it into modified gas turbine engines. And in between, you see that we're looking at what we call e-fuels, so combining direct air carbon capture with hopefully hydrogen that will have been produced by renewables, so green hydrogen. There's kind of a green color theme at this event that we need to respect. And I'll end on the note that you all have seen the updated DOE National Strategy Roadmap. This is it, right? It's supposed to be a roadmap that embraces the energy transition of all the different hard-to-abate sectors. And indeed, you will see sustainable aviation fuel. You will see the power-to-liquid as referenced in our roadmap. I do think it's unfortunate that the direct use of hydrogen in aviation is a little bit absent from that roadmap. So I will end, my time is over, but I will end on the fact that it's a little bit unfortunate, and it is currently, I believe, a roadblock for the industry and some early stage companies doing a formidable work, pushing the envelope on this as well, that we're supporting. But we would love for key government stakeholders to understand that there is not one single endpoint of hydrogen in aviation. And hydrogen as a feedstock for SAF needs to be enabled, and we consider ourselves an ecosystem enabler. But we do think that considering the implication of the direct use of hydrogen will go a long way as we are maturing the underlying technologies that will not only benefit the aviation industry, but also hopefully some other hard-to-abate sectors. Thank you.